Hi everyone, my name's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be recommending some spring reads for you guys. I'm normally not a super seasonal reader. The only time I really want to read seasonal books is around like Halloween and fall. I'm normally always drawn to like spooky, witchy books during that time. But for the most part, I just read whatever I want when I want to without like really feeling drawn to reading a seasonal recommendation. However, this year, spring is just feeling extra exciting. I am excited for fresh flowers and all of those lovely things that come with spring. So in choosing these books, I was looking for things that brought about happiness or rebirth or growth or things like that. So they may not all be set in spring or be exceptionally colorful or flowery books, but they may have themes of rebirth and regrowth and happiness and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. I know I just said that not all of them will be flowery and pretty books, but I'm going to start with a flowery and pretty book, and that is Olympus by Rachel Smith. And this is a graphic novel that is absolutely stunning. It is based on a webtoon that grew in popularity and just kind of like became this huge phenomenon. So got published. I honestly had never really heard of it. I'd seen the artwork around like social media and stuff, but I didn't really know what it was. I just kind of like would scroll by and be like, pretty. So when I heard that this was being published, I looked into it and I was like, wait, this looks really dope. It is a Hades and Persephone kind of modern retelling, and it is very, very beautiful. This is volume 1. Volume 2 has a release date of this year sometime. I don't remember exactly when, but the second one does come out this year. And I have not finished the webtoon, but I have gotten kind of far in it. I've gotten past this book for sure, and I've gotten probably past volume 2 as well. But still, like, everyone should want this on their shelf. Like, stunning. Some of these spreads are like just absolutely stunning. Like, there's so many that I just had to like pause and be like, whoa, that is absolutely beautiful. So highly recommend this. It's a wonderful spring read. It's very colorful and bright and happy, and I definitely recommend this as a book to pick up this season. The next book on my spring recommendations list is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the first book in the Legends of the First Empire series. This is basically a prequel to his main series, but it is like 1,000 years before, or maybe even more than that, before that first series. It's a series you can read on its own. I have not read any of his other books. I started with this one because for some reason I really wanted to read it chronologically, but I don't think anyone else reads it in this order, but here we are. It's okay. I'm really, really loving this series. I've read the first 4. So this series is a very classical fantasy story. It follows this race of people called runes, which are humans, and Frey, which are kind of portrayed to be like elves almost, like they have really long lives and they have magic. Some of them have magic, and they are super fast, super strong, all of that, you know? And the runes worship the Frey as gods. However, when one of the runes is able to kill a Frey, kind of chaos ensues. There is also a woman who is a rune, who is also a mystic, and she lives out in the forest. She has to come to society to warn them of impending doom. And all of these characters' paths cross, and what follows is a lovely, lovely story of friendship and family and life and death, and it is such a beautiful book. I think the reason it evokes spring feelings in me is because it is a very classical fantasy, so there's a lot of nature involved. We deal a lot with like the forest and animals and things like that, and these people all live off the land, and I don't know, if you look at the cover, it's very, very beautiful, very nature heavy, obviously with a giant tree. But yeah, it just really feels very spring to me. Obviously, the books span a lot of time, so it is not spring the entire time you read the books, but the books are so good. I am so excited to finish this series and continue on with some of his other series. I just am enamored with this whole host of characters. That is like the selling point of these books, is the characters. They're all so well thought out, so unique, and the stakes are really high in these books. You experience loss and pain, but there's also a lot of rebirth and life, and they're just so good. They're so good. If you're looking for a really good classical fantasy, this is the way to go. The next book on my recommendations is called Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. This is a sci-fi book that is very light sci-fi. The sci-fi elements are very easy to understand. It is not like a heavy sci-fi by any means. This book is set in California, where there is a master violinist. She is one of the greatest violinists of all time. However, she makes a deal with the devil. In order to escape damnation, she must train 7 violinists to become masters of their craft and then convince them to sacrifice their souls in order to gain notoriety. She has already delivered 6 at the start of the story when she meets Katrina, who is a trans woman who just loves music. She has very different life experiences than any of the previous people that Shizuka has trained. And what follows is Shizuka learning more about Katrina's life while also teaching her about music. Katrina was never formally trained. She does not know all of the nuances of the violin and everything. She just knows what sounds good to her. And it is honestly such a stunning, beautiful, harrowing story where the sci-fi elements come in. There is a donut shop owned by a woman named Lan, and she is actually an alien from outer space. And she has all of her children here with her running this donut shop, and they are trying to fix their spaceship. And Lan meets Shizuka, and they kind of create this relationship together. And so through this lens of sci-fi and music and love and family, you get to really just see these characters thrive. The ending, was so beautiful. It is really just such an incredible book. It is very unique. It is like nothing I've ever read before. And there are a lot of themes of rebirth and the cycle of life and things like that in this book, which is why I kind of saw it as a spring recommendation. The prose is so beautiful and touching, and again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over. Stunning book. The next book on my list is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. This is based on Norse mythology, and it is about the banished witch Angrboda and her love with Loki. It follows her as she has children and the life she leads in her little cave. This story adds an additional character that is not typically found in mythology, and that is Skadi, who is someone that helps Angrboda through life. And I don't know a whole lot about Norse mythology. I have read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology book, but I am definitely no expert. However, this book was just so beautiful. I love a retelling of a misunderstood woman, and I think that Angrboda's story is important and beautiful, and I think it really explores themes of motherhood and family and love, and that's one of the reasons I put it on this spring recommendations list, is you get to experience a lot of created life and happiness and loss and love, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful book. I listened to it on audiobook, and I highly recommend it. I think that this retelling is masterful. Not that I know a whole lot about the original telling, but I still believe that this book is very well crafted. I think it was really cool to see a more traditional portrayal of Loki. Really, the only kind of interactions I've had with Loki as a character is Marvel movies, so it was really cool to see Loki as more of his traditional character that we see in Norse mythology throughout. So, very, 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 very good book. You should definitely read it. It is a lovely book for spring. The next book on my list is The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is the author of Mexican Gothic, which kind of took the reading world by storm recently. and this book is another masterpiece. I really love Silvia Moreno Garcia as an author because she really explores different genres. All of her books are very different, and I think that really is cool because so many times authors, whether it be because they're a publisher or just what they want to write about, they're kind of like in this niche. They like write similar books, their prose is very similar, their themes are similar, but Silvia Moreno Garcia like really branches out. Mexican Gothic is like a horror, fantasy, scary book, and The Beautiful Ones is like, it reads like historical fiction with like socialites and things like that, and she's really such a well-rounded author. This book to me is more historical fiction with like a little hint of fantasy. There's not a whole lot of magic, but it follows a woman named Nina who is trying to really get into society. This book is all about socialites, and she is part of a wealthy family, and she is trying to earn her place in society. However, she has a sort of telekinesis, and she's always had a hard time controlling it, so she kind of has a bad rap around town. Everyone sees her as kind of this like out of control woman. However, when Hector arrives in town and is also a telekinetic, she kind of gravitates towards him, and what follows is a love story. However, Hector is hiding something from Nina, and so we kind of get to explore their relationship as it grows, and it's really just a lovely book. I really enjoyed it. It's short. It really gives those spring vibes because it is about kind of a young, naive girl who kind of has to learn and grow in society as well as within herself, and it is about love, and the cover just feels very spring and bright and happy, and I definitely would recommend this as a spring read. I think the book is a lovely tale, and Silvia Moreno Garcia is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. The next book on my list is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. This is a Peter Pan retelling. It follows this young woman whose brother has gone missing a few years prior, and she finds out that Peter Pan is real, and so she's trying to find her brother and find out if Peter has her brother, and it is so beautiful. We all love a retelling, and Aiden Thomas is an incredible author. Also wrote The Cemetery Boys, which fantastic book. Definitely not a spring read, more of a fall Halloween read, but it is also a very good book. And Lost in the Neverwoods is really fun. As you can tell if you've watched any of my videos or even this video, I love a retelling, and Peter Pan is a story that I really only consumed until recently via the Disney movie, which obviously has some very, very problematic moments and themes. So it was very nice to kind of see this retelling of Peter Pan, which is set in like the modern world, and we're following like a high school student, and Peter is also like older, like an older teen. I don't know, it just felt a little more mature while still being a young adult book. For some reason, I just feel like retellings a lot of times give me spring vibes, but also this cover. Again, a lot of the covers are just very like evocative of spring. Like the colors in this, and it's got nature and the forest, and they spend a lot of time in the forest in this book. So yeah, if you're looking for a younger retelling of Peter Pan, it is definitely not a lighter retelling. It is still got some very heavy themes and a lot of grief. There is a missing child throughout the whole book. So it does deal with a lot of grief and loss and things like that. But it still has some very lighthearted moments, and there is a lot of beautiful relationships formed, and I really liked this book, and I would recommend it for this spring. The next book is a book I talked about in my favorite books of 2021, which I will link above, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is a lovely sci-fi book that is about a man who wakes up in space with his whole crew dead and no memories of why he's there. So we kind of get to explore what is going on at the same time he is, and basically Earth is dying because of this organism that is stealing power from the sun. And when humans realize that there is another planet far, far away that is experiencing this same phenomena, they send an expedition out to uncover what is going on and how to stop it. And what we follow is this man as he gets to this planet alone and meets another spaceship there with an alien species that is also trying to uncover the same thing because their planet is also dying. And they must work together to save their respective planets. And this book is just, oh, it is so cute. It is so beautiful. I think that it really gives me spring vibes because it is about saving life. It is about preserving life. It also explores growth of a friendship and a relationship between two completely different species from different planets. Like, it is all just so, so lovely. I think that the space elements are very cool. It creates a very nice backdrop, but also the friendship is like some of the best friendship in fiction. I am a sucker for a beautiful friendship, and I think that this one really is wonderful. You get to see them as they learn how to even communicate. They learn that what their different bodies can endure and how to work together while also overcoming these obstacles of them being from completely different planets, solar systems, galaxies. Like, it is a very, very cool book. I think the ending was so beautiful, and I think that everyone should read it. I have not read The Martian yet by Andy Weir, but obviously that is a very well-known book. It has a movie adaptation, but Project Hail Mary is lovely, and it's new, and I'm sure you've seen it being talked about all over the place. So go ahead and read it. Read it this spring. It will bring a smile to your face. The next book on my list is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is a comedy book that is just kind of contemporary fiction, which is a genre I normally do not read. But this was a book that really everyone was talking about. It was all over social media, so I was like, let me pick it up. A lot of times, genres I don't read, I will listen to on audiobook, and this was one of them. And it was so funny, but also like really touching. It follows a group of people that are at an open house when a failed bank robber comes in and takes them all hostage. And the different reactions and the different experiences these people all share become so funny. Like, everything is just makes me laugh every time I read it. But also we really get to explore like some of the different ways that these people have coped in the past with challenging things in their lives. And it does take some serious notes. However, the humor really gave me like spring vibes. Anything that makes me laugh and happy really makes me feel like spring, because you get to go outside again and the trees are growing and everything just feels good. And this book made me feel good. It is hilarious, first off. Like, the banter these characters go through is so funny. The way they all react to being taken hostage is just like, it's the exact opposite of how I would react if I were to be taken hostage. But this book is very good. It is well known. It is a huge book. It is a translated work, so keep that in mind when you're reading it. But this book is very lovely. It's very funny. Follows a wide range of people who are all just trying to live. And I would definitely recommend this book. The last book on my spring recommendations is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This is a romance novel, and we all know I love a cute romance novel. This book follows a woman named April and a man named Marcus. They both write fan fiction for this TV series, and one day when April is given the chance to go on a date with the lead man in this TV series, she readily accepts. What she doesn't know is that Marcus, the lead man of the show, is also a fanfiction writer who she is really close friends with online. They've never met and they don't know each other's real names because Marcus is incredibly famous and part of the actual TV show, but they are very close. They've been close for years. And so they go on this date, they don't know about the other, and what follows is them learning to love, but also picking up on who the other one is. And it is really a lovely book. It deals with some heavier themes of fat phobia. The main character, April, is a fat woman, and so you kind of get to experience her life as she battles with the way society treats her for just existing. Marcus is not part of that awful crowd, and it's really charming and lovely to see them fall in love. I think romance really just gives a whole lot of spring vibes because, like, it's love. Spring, love, like, that goes hand in hand, I feel like. And this book definitely does not disappoint. I have read a lot of fan fiction in my life, and so it was really cool to see a romance story based on fan fiction writers. I never wrote fan fiction, I promise, I'm not lying. Never wrote fan fiction, but I have read a lot of it, and I've listened to some fan fiction podcasts. So I do love a story that deals with that. I think it was really fun to read, and the main characters are incredible, and yeah, I definitely recommend this for spring. And that is all of my spring recommendations. If you have any spring recommendations for me, please comment them down below. And if you have read any of these and also loved them, let me know. If you ever want to chat books, you can always DM me on Instagram. You can find my Instagram profile down below. With that being said, I would like to thank you all for your support. It means the world to me. And until next time, thank you.